It's your boy, the Anime ANBU here, coming back at you with part 2 of What If Naruto Was an Uchiha. Yes, I can say back. I don't know exactly what the fanfic's called off the top of my head. Sorry about that. But if you want to read the fanfic for yourself, don't like the way that I narrate things, totally fine. Read it for yourself. Link in the description will bring you there. Other links in the description will bring you to the Discord server and Instagram page. I think also we have a Twitter. I don't really use Twitter. If you want to go, check out over on those socials, go do that. If you want to message me privately or personally, you should probably do that on Discord. And yeah, so just a few things to go over, like about the channel and specifically for the next day or two. I want to get back to daily uploads. I'm really enjoying reading these new stories, and so I want to get back to reading more often. So I hope you guys can bear with me. Sorry for taking that slack during the summertime. There was a lot going on. But I'm not sure exactly when this is going to happen. Tonight, I have to send this phone back. I made an insurance claim, and so I have to send this phone back. And I don't know if the new phone is getting here tomorrow or the next day. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to post tomorrow. So if I don't post tomorrow, don't be scared. I'm not leaving again. I'm just waiting. So yeah, with all that out of the way, like, comment, and subscribe. I respond to all comments, heart all comments, like all comments when I see them. I genuinely appreciate them, and I hope you guys enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, cue the intro, please. Alright guys, so I gotta be quick with recording this because the phone's gotta go back soon. So let's hop right into it, okay? Kakashi was walking through the streets of Konoha. The damage could have been worse given what happened, but still, after last night it was safe to say that things wouldn't be normal for a while. The loss everyone sustained left them all in a state of sadness. There hadn't been a word yet on how many had been lost. But there were many that got hospitalized. A lot of the survivors could no longer be shinobi as the injuries were too grave. What troubled Kakashi the most was that his sensei hadn't been seen after he teleported the Kyuubi away. No one knew anything. All anyone knew was that the Kyuubi was defeated. Kakashi wasn't dumb, and if he hadn't heard anything then that meant that Minato had died. Kakashi looked up to the Hokage monument, and from his single visible eye, a tear shed as he knew that again he lost someone close to him. Hokage's Osus. Shisui, sorry to keep you waiting. Shisui stood up upon seeing the third Hokage enter the room. It's all right, Lord Third. The council has been assembled. They must know of what has transpired. That also means that Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki shall be known. And of his parents? That is not necessary right now. Obviously Fugaku knows, but nobody else needs to know. What if he wants Naruto? Hiruzen pondered on that. I feel like Naruto. Oh, that's a line from Trippy Red. My bad, keep it going. Hiruzen pondered that. He hadn't really considered it before. Surely Fugaku and Mikoto would wish to be able to raise the son of their friend. However, they wished for Shisui to look after Naruto. Maybe we will speak with him prior. He'll respect the wishes of Minato. There was a knock on the door, and this surprised the two of them. Hiruzen gave permission for someone to enter. Ah, Kakashi, what a surprise. What can I do for you? Hiruzen said, honestly, he wasn't looking forward to breaking the news to Kakashi. He lost so much already in his young life. Hearing of more would only worsen things. Kakashi glanced around, and he recognized Shisui. Then he saw the baby, then looked to Hiruzen once more. He's gone, isn't he? Yes, he is. This is Naruto, Shisui said. Kakashi watched over Kushina from time to time, as he was one of Minato's personal ANBU members, and was trusted by him more so than others. Mainly that was formed since Kakashi had been a student. That let him knowing about Naruto's upcoming birth. Also, he now contains the Kyuubi. Come again? Kakashi said, looking up from Naruto and back at Shisui. He sealed the Kyuubi within Naruto with help from Kushina. Listen, Kakashi, I would like for you to help Shisui train Naruto when he's old enough to understand. Minato entrusted him to the two of you. Hiruzen said, I'll gladly help in any way. Shisui and Hiruzen smiled and were glad to know that they had been in the right. Although losing Minato hurt, together they can try and make it all better. Now, to deal with the council. Hiruzen said, "It was obvious that this was going to be a long meeting. The council made up of each major clan head, and a few members of the civilian side made up the council, along with the Hokage's advisor. However, since Minato was now dead, the question of who to take his place would be asked. Hiruzen knew he had to retake office, as he knew that Danzo couldn't be entrusted with the position, and no one else really had the support to be Hokage. Orochimaru deserted. Tsunade had no intention of returning after her losses, and Jiraiya had a spy network and would probably not be emotionally prepared to take the seat, as he would soon learn that his student and great friend had died. That, considering the last of the people that were being questioned for fourth Hokage had been Fugaku. He had the power but didn't have the support of the people, or as much support as Minato. Maybe now he could. Then there was also Danzo. He had been gunning for the position for ages now. His love for Konoha was never doubted. However, his methods were never great. Danzo hated and distrusted the Uchiha, and would do anything to get rid of them. He only never did anything towards Minato, since he was the only Uchiha he knew he'd lose to. That and Minato was actually rather different from other Uchiha. For some reason, there wasn't a distrust. Everyone would most likely approve of Hiruzen's decision to retake office, aside from Danzo, of course, but no one would really care about his opinions anyways. 30 minutes later. "Thank you all for gathering this morning. I know that last night was hard on everyone," Hiruzen said. The council gathered, and among them was Fugaku Uchiha, Sume Inuzuka, Inoichi Yamanaka, Shibi Aburame, Shikaku Nara, Hiyashi Hyuga, Choza Akamichi, and then the advisors being Danzo, Hamada, and Koharu. Damn, pronunciations are difficult. I think I did a good job. The only one I'm not sure about is the Inuzuka, bro. I don't remember her being that important in the show. I might be tripping, but I don't remember her being like an integral factor in the show. Who knows? "I sadly must inform you that there is another loss you must know." Hiruzen looked into space, not looking anyone in the eye, and sighed. "The fourth Hokage has died during his fight against the Kyuubi." The room was silent. Their Hokage was dead, and now the village was unprotected per se. The Kage position and person as Kage was the village's shield against attack. They were the village's last line of defense. Without the Hokage, the village is vulnerable. "As such, I'll be reassuming the role of Hokage," Hiruzen said, bringing everyone out of their thoughts. Danzo was infuriated, but said nothing, as now wasn't the time. He knew the village needed someone to fill the role, and most of all, he knew Hiruzen's power. Hiruzen wasn't called the god of shinobi for nothing. Danzo and he were teammates, and he got to see his feats firsthand. Hiruzen's reputation would do well to quell plots to attack Konoha. Even in his old age, Hiruzen was still one of the most powerful shinobi in Konoha, and even in the 5 great nations. The other council members also approved of the thought of the Sandaime retaking the position. Hiruzen made eye contact with Fugaku without saying a word, and was able to express that they needed to talk after everyone left. "So, what do we do?" asked Hiyashi, clan head of the Hyuga. I'll probably give him a different voice. You just gotta give me a minute to think of one. "We rebuild," Hiruzen said. With that, everyone started to leave except for Fugaku. Hiruzen made a waving gesture and the Anbu were gone. "What of the Chinald?" Chinald? Bro, can you read? Like I said in the previous video, I wish English wasn't my first language, because then I could like make an excuse for all the grammatical errors. But it is. Like, it is my first language. This is what dang. Alright, what of the child Minato and Kushina were expecting? I'll give him a different voice, you just gotta give me a minute. Fugaku went straight to the point, as he didn't care about pleasantries at the moment. "Shisui, come out." Out of the shadows came Shisui, still holding Naruto. "They sealed the Kyuubi into their son. This is Naruto. What do you plan to do? Surely you won't put him in the orphanage." "Shisui will raise him." Fugaku looked at Shisui. He had no bad thoughts towards him. In fact, he respected the young Uchiha more than most. His power would someday soon surpass his own. He looked back to Hiruzen. "He's still young." "I'm more than ready." "You didn't let me finish," Fugaku said with a slight chuckle. "You're still young, but you will have my support should you need it." Bro, reading is hard, guys. Reading is hard. Reading is hard. Gotta take that picture out. Y'all don't need to know who that is. Alright. This caught Shisui off guard as he was ready to start an argument to get him to approve. I'm guessing that it was his wish. As such, I won't stand against it. Mikoto will be sad. I understand the need of secrecy, and I won't tell my kids of his true heritage. You two can come see him whenever you please, Fugaku-sama. Much appreciated. Dang it, I read the voices wrong. Backwards. So many mistakes, man. I know perfection is not, like, achievable, but, like, man, I would like to be good, at least, at reading. I feel like this chapter is a little smaller, by the way. My bad. Much appreciated, Fugaku said with a smile. He looked to Hiruzen and surprised him once again. So, what is your relation to Minato? He wouldn't entrust his son to just anyone, and seeing as how Kakashi wasn't the one chosen, you must be even closer. Hiruzen looked at Shisui and got a nod. He is Minato's nephew. That explains it. However, it's odd that you weren't around whenever we came. No matter. If that is all, I'll be returning to my family before gathering the police force. Yes, you are dismissed. When he was gone, Shisui stated his surprise at how easy it went. In the end, they were both glad that things went far easier than expected. The biggest surprise of all being Danzo's silence. However, it wouldn't bother him. So when will you tell the council of Naruto and the Kyuubi? Hopefully not for a long while. Let's take you to your new home. My bad. About 10 minutes later, they had finally made it to the house they lived in. It was located near the outskirts of the village, and they had about 4 acres of land. Damn, they got do you guys know how, like, 4 acres isn't, like, massive, but do you know how big 4 acres is, man? Like, I've only lived in one house with, like, an acre of space, right? Had, like, 1.5 acres of, like, the plot, including the house, was like 1.5 acres or something like that. 4 acres of land is massive. Like, that is a big piece of, land. 4 acres of land, damn. And they had about 4 acres of land. They were distant in case Naruto ever began to lose control of the Kyuubi. The hope was to limit damage and death, but even so, it would only do so much. I can work with this. Once he's 4, I can begin training him. The space is absolutely perfect. Yes, however, it also serves to... I know, Sandaime-sama. You don't need to tell me. Hiruzen nodded. Also, you now being a Jonin means that we want you to take someone to train. We've selected someone you may be interested in. And who would that be? Shisui said, raising an eyebrow. Itachi Uchiha, son of Fugaku Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha, huh? Interesting. Oh, snap. We are 11 minutes in. I want this video to be like a half hour. So, we will cut it at 56. Yeah, why not? I like the like 30 minutes to some videos because I actually am enjoying reading this story, so I kind of want to read more. Which is why this video is going to come out like as priority. Despite the fact that the other video might have been probably the one that should have gone out today, but whatever. No matter. Drop it later. It'll come when it comes. Alright, my bad. Let's continue. In a week, Shisui had his assignment to take Itachi through an exercise that would last 3 days. The goal was to track a target and capture them for intel. During the exercise, he was to teach survival skills and, of course, methods of tracking to hopefully complete the goal. Shisui didn't know much about Itachi, aside from the fact that he was the son of the clan head, and that he was apparently gifted. This he would have to check out. Itachi was only 5, so it would be interesting to say the least. Before that, however, he had to get situated in the new house and get someone to look after Naruto. He wanted Kakashi as he was the only one he trusted, but this made him wonder if Kakashi and him were both on a mission, who'd look after Naruto. Hiruzen might, but he's still busy as Hokage, so he wouldn't add to his troubles. Maybe Kakashi trusts someone. He'll have to figure that out. The village was starting to bounce back, pretty quickly too. Rebuilding went on their way, and even some fortifying. It looked like they were planning to expand the walls, especially around the southern region. There wasn't talk as for the expansion of the village was for. Guesses were to just house more and just create more within the village, but it was odd still. There were rumors of a new compound system to take place, but at the moment it was speculation. As the training exercise neared, Shisui had been preparing his tools when he learned the hard way of making sure that nothing was within Naruto's reach. He'd managed to get one of Shisui's kunai and almost managed to try to eat it before he noticed. That would have ended badly. Finally, the day came and Shisui began walking to the house of Fugaku Uchiha. It was located a few blocks away from the police headquarters in the center of the village. Along the walk, Okay, so there's not a compound yet. Along the walk, he noticed that there were people beginning to be more livelier, as most had been mourning to this point. It was nice to see them returning to normal. Time can work miracles in some senses, but soon it would be on to business. However, Shisui didn't always take it too seriously, tending to be a little more lax than most. But now he would see the type of person Itachi was. Ah, Shisui, you're here for Itachi. Good morning, Fugaku-sama, and yes, is he ready? Fugaku nodded. Itachi, Shisui's here. A few moments later, Itachi walked out. He was about 7 inches shorter than Shisui and had hair that reached the base of his neck. Hello, Itachi. I'm Shisui. I'll be training you from now on, Shisui said, holding out his hand. Itachi took it and shook his hand. He looked back to Fugaku and then stood beside Shisui, awaiting their departure. We'll be back in 3 days, Shisui said, and with that, he touched Itachi's shoulder and shunswinged them to the entrance of the forest of death. Do you know your objective, Itachi? We are to track down a fugitive and bring them in for intel. Yes, that is the main objective, so without further ado, let's begin. They opened the gate and entered the forest. This forest is filled with deadly animals and is used for high-level shinobi. No other than Jonin will generally go in there. Some Chunin, but for the most part, not many really liked being in the forest. It is a great place to train, however. They were walking through trying to find some clues. The fugitive was given a 2-hour head start in setting up their decoys and going about their escape. In a way, it was like keep away. The fugitive was never to leave the forest and remained hidden by setting up traps, decoys, and anything to not be caught. There were no rules aside from the restriction of leaving the forest. Should there be confrontation, anything goes. Shisui was going to let Itachi take the reins on this exercise, as he wanted to see how well he would do, offering support when needed. There wouldn't be a point in this if Shisui led, as he had more than enough skills to handle this. Most of his missions were B rank or higher, and these types of situations often happen, especially when dealing with spies. Plus, Itachi being a prodigy, well, he wanted to see about that. Alright. Find something, Itachi? Itachi was reaching into a tree trunk. Hi, a scroll. Itachi handed the scroll to Shisui, who opened it up and looked at the contents. It contained information on the fugitive, saying that he was an Earth-style user and a Genjutsu user. Good eye, Itachi. We've got useful information on our fugitive. What do you think? Shisui handed the scroll back to Itachi. The decoys can be even more intricate, given that we could accidentally trigger a Genjutsu of his. That's right. Keep your senses up, Shisui said with a smile as they moved on. He's got the book smarts, no doubt about that. I wonder about his skills, however. Shisui thought as they were moving through the trees. He smiled when he saw an opportunity. About 50 meters ahead of him, he noticed a large snake. It was half the size of a summoning. That was the odd thing about the forest. All the animals in it were abnormally large, and that's what made them so deadly. As he saw it charging at him, since he was in front of Itachi, he just swung over to the side and turned around to see Itachi make 2 slices through the snake, cutting it into 3 pieces with his tanzo. Not bad. Good job, Itachi. Well, he's got some Kenjutsu training. I could definitely teach him some techniques in that. Why are you smiling? It's nothing, Itachi, but look, there seems to be 2 paths. They dropped down from the trees and now looked at 2 paths where it seemed someone may have traveled. They were in a slightly moistened environment, so the footsteps were easy to notice since they sunk beneath the surface slightly. So, which way do you think? Itachi walked to the one on the left, began looking at it, analyzing every bit he could take in, and the same on the right. The tracks are too perfect on this side. Our fugitive wants to get away. These are as if he stood in place on each foothold. There's no indication that a step was taken aside from the fact that there is a track. Well done, you're certainly right. Given that he's an Earth-style user, it's safe to assume that he manufactured those tracks to hopefully take us off his course. Shisui patted his shoulder, and they began to follow the other set of tracks. Itachi's knowledge and skills were impressing Shisui. The only issue in his head was that he did things solely by the book. There was no flexibility in his thinking. It was good to have that knowledge, but in the real world, it wasn't always black and white. He'd have to try to get Itachi to change that. The tracks led to a river, and Shisui began to get some water and filter it. However, Itachi was still looking around. You know, I think a fish may have left that mark, Shisui said as Itachi seemed to be rubbing the moss on the side of a rock in the river. Itachi looked frustrated about that. So it's not a decoy? Everything starts to look at them. Being able to confuse your pursuers is the goal as it gives many options. I guess I need better tracking skills. You're half right, Itachi, Shisui said and took a sip of the water. Here. They sat down on the rock that Shisui was on. It's because you're exceptional, Itachi, that it's harder. Having the skills for tracking a fugitive is important, but so is understanding how he thinks. I see, Itachi said and smiled. Shisui stood up and noticed the sun going down. Well, let's move on to the next part of the exercise. Itachi nodded and they began to catch a few fish and set up an area to be situated for camp. Don't the books say not to use campfires? Shisui looked up. You're exceptional, Itachi. I'm inexperienced still. You're right about that. Don't laugh. I'm sorry, it just makes me happy. You've taught me a lot. That's what makes me happy. It's nice to eat a meal with someone that makes you at ease. Itachi widened his eyes in surprise. Eat while it's hot. Itachi took a bite and then looked back at Shisui. I awakened the Sharingan. Is that why you don't want to be at home? How? It looks like you had. That you came instantly to my side as if eager, not out of excitement. He noticed from the beginning. I understand, Itachi. Just know if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. Itachi smiled. After all, that's what friends are for, right? Itachi nodded and smiled. It felt as if some of the weight that he'd been carrying was slowly coming off. There is a lot of dialogue. A lot. I kind of like it, but there's a lot. Alright, my bad. Suddenly, they heard the sound of swords clanging together and immediately put out the fire and ran towards the sound. What surprised them was to see an Anbu fall into the 6-inch deep stream with a gash on his shoulder. Are you alright? He then noticed that what made him fall was some wires around his ankle, that it cut into him a bit. Metal wires. This can be dangerous. Suddenly, 3 more Anbu dropped in. More Anbu, Shisui said. Hand us the traitor. The middle Anbu, who was also the biggest of the 3, said. What proof do you have to say he's a traitor? He's not quite the traitor, however, he was information in regards to who it actually is. The one on the left said who was the woman of the group. What? That's what you're after? I'm going to Lord Hokage. The injured Anbu said. I'll help you to the best of my abilities. I, Itachi Uchiha, will also help Shisui. Itachi, Shisui said quietly as he glanced over to him, surprised that he'd jump in like this. Itachi was smart and talented, no doubt about that. However, these were Anbu, and this would get dangerous. Suddenly, the female Anbu threw a kunai at the head of the injured Anbu, and he was revealed to be a water clone. Oh well, my wires are covered in poison. He won't be getting far before his body goes numb. The 2 male Anbus charged at Shisui with their swords out, while the female went after Itachi, pushing him back from Shisui. You Uchiha would dare to push your luck and get in the way, she said to Itachi before charging. Itachi kept being forced to back up as she attacked with 2 swords versus his 1. Her attacks were acrobatic, and with the final strike, she spun to add more momentum into a powerful swing. Itachi had barely been keeping up and got knocked back with the final blow, giving him some much-wanted space. Sharingan, Itachi said as his eyes changed from black into a spinning Tutomoe. Then she charged once more as she didn't want to give him any time to think of a plan. Now her movements were much easier for Itachi to react to, since he's practically 1 step ahead of her. His eyes can perceive her movements before it's done. Although now his defense was being strengthened, he still could not get any offense, and since he wasn't exactly faster than her, plus she didn't leave many chances to attack. Having 2 swords allowed her to maintain pressure always, and if parried 1 blow and tried to attack, he still had a second blade to continue her advance. At this point, it wasn't going anywhere, and she decided to switch it up. She started throwing shuriken at Itachi and directed them with her wire. Itachi would dodge easily, and then she changed the direction with the wire, making them land in trees or rocks. She threw a few kunai with the wire, and those would get lodged and embed themselves on the floor behind Itachi. She keeps adding layers to the wire, doubling or even tripling over each other, creating some sort of pattern. As Itachi kept dodging, she began to try and increase the volume, as it seems like she was finishing off her plan of sorts. With the last few, Itachi jumped through the air, and she had thrown 3 more shuriken in preparation of that. He was forced to spin in midair and dodge the 3. I can see it. So this is the power of the Sharingan. After dodging the previous 3, he saw 3 more. Threw his sword through the centers of the shuriken, and the sword got embedded on a stone, which he landed standing on the handle of his sword. The shuriken had still been spinning, and he looked impassively at her. "You've fallen into my trap, Uchiha." She cut a wire beside her. The wires all started to respond, and some were snapping around Itachi, but rather than ensnaring him, all of a sudden wires changed course and caught around her throat and wrist, choking her. How? A few minutes earlier. So Shisui's fighting two Anbu. Yes. Shisui began on the defensive as both Anbu attacked him. They both would strike one after another, keeping him on the defensive. Each strike he blocked effortlessly, and had it been a single opponent, he could counter, but there being 2, the others wouldn't allow that. The bigger one tried to jump up in the air and do a powerful strike downwards, but Shisui sidestepped it. As he was going to slash him, the smaller Anbu launched over the other, trying to stab him, to which Shisui pushed the blade to his left using his tanto and spun to his right, backhanding the Anbu with his left hand. He followed up by sending a right kick to the Anbu's back, which made him fall to the ground. Shisui turned around quick enough to block a strike from the bigger Anbu, and he jumped away. Ooh. Tired. Looks like Itachi has things handled. Guess I'll end things here. He brought his hands together. Teleportation jutsu. Shisui began running around them, and suddenly 2 more of him could be seen to his right. Then another 3 on the opposite side of the Anbu, mirroring the other 3. Then 2 more sets to make it 4 sets of Shisui running around them in an evenly spaced increment. Shadow clones. The bigger Anbu shook his head. No, they're after-image clones. I can't tell which one's the real one, the smaller one said as he blocked a sword strike from one clone on his right. Then a kick from his left. Suddenly one appeared behind him and chopped at the back of his neck, knocking him out. Enough of this, the bigger Anbu said, and slammed his fist in the stream, causing a shockwave which forced water up in the air. He looked up and saw the clones still remained around him, all holding their swords out in front of him, with the blade parallel to the ground and left hand against the back of the blade. How were they still there? Shisui appeared behind him with his tanto tipped to the Anbu's back. My teleportation jutsu has no match, therefore my clones will be destroyed. He heard a loud whistle. Looks like the Jonin observing our training exercises have noticed. He backed off and sheathed his tanto. Upon doing so, his clones vanished and left him alone behind the Anbu. The Anbu went and grabbed his teammate. We will be watching you, Shisui Uchiha, Itachi Uchiha, the Anbu said and shunswinged away with his knocked out teammate. Who were they? Those, Itachi, were Lord Danzo's Anbu. I think it's time we start to head back. The exercise is over. Itachi began to take a step when he noticed a sharp pain through his foot and slightly stumbled. Take it easy, Itachi. Let me see. Shisui had Itachi sit down and he checked out his ankle before wrapping it up. It'll be okay. Just stay off it. He took Itachi onto his back, much to his displeasure, which made Shisui laugh. They were finally back in the village, and Itachi asked about why his ankle had been hurt. There's a slight gap in between what your Sharingan sees and how your body reacts. You see, no matter what, your body will always be slower than the perception of your eyes. They get stronger as you get stronger. So I'll always get hurt using the Sharingan? No, you're just not used to the new perception. You adapted quickly, and I'm impressed by that. However, as you can tell, you've got some training to do. Itachi made an annoyed look. Don't worry, Itachi, you'll get there soon. However, what you did tonight was risky. First off, by engaging the Anbu, and second, by testing out an untrained power in the heat of combat. I understand, but I couldn't just leave you to fight them alone, and I had to use the Sharingan. Don't be calling me weak, Itachi. I can handle myself, you know. No, that's not what I know. Just be careful, alright? Just remember to never try untrained power in combat. It may have ended alright now, but it's not always going to be the case. I will. Itachi passed out finally, and Shisui smiled as he continued to walk. 10 minutes later, he arrived at Itachi's home, and surprisingly, Fugaku was outside. Back already? How'd he do? He's exceptional, Fugaku. I can definitely work with him, no problem. In fact, I'd like to start tomorrow. Of course, that's really good to hear. You said this was to be a 3-day exercise. What happened? I'm not exactly sure how classified this will become, but I'm sure that what I tell you will be right, seeing as it wasn't too major. We ran into an Anbu, and 3 of Lord Danzo's Anbu. Itachi fought one and handled himself well. Outside of that, I can't really say anything else. I'll take him aside. Thank you. When will you come for him? 8. Shisui shuns to his house. Itachi, you don't cease to amaze me. I can tell that you and I are going to be good friends. Shisui smiled, seeing Naruto sleeping on Kakashi's lap, who was also sleeping on the couch facing the TV. Oh man, he's going to get Naruto addicted to that thing. And that, I think, is where I'm going to end this part. Yeah, we're 28 minutes in. That's where I'm going to end this part of the reading. I'm sorry for any errors, mistakes I make. I hope you guys enjoy this part. I hope you guys enjoy the series. I'm really looking forward to continuing dropping it, and I hope you guys are looking forward to me making it. When we get through chapter 5 or part 5, so when I get through video number 5 for this series, I'll drop like episodes like 1 through 5, kind of like movie collection thing, whatever. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, respond to all comments, heart all comments, like all comments. Story link in the description, Discord link in the description, Instagram link in the description. Go check me out over there. And yeah, so without further ado, this is your boy, the Anime ANBU. I'm out. Deuces.